OKC announced a new plan for mental health emergencies that still includes police. So this is obviously an issue that we care a lot about, having done police accountability work in the past and city council work. And I also think this is like a blind spot that many liberals have but refuse to acknowledge, which is despite evidence showing that like police responding to mental health calls is a problem and that often leads to these like terrible outcomes like violence against the mentally ill, police killings, criminalization of mental illness, advocates have long been saying is like, if somebody is having a mental health crisis, you need a mental health professional to respond. You don't necessarily need a law enforcement officer. Anyway, despite making those points repeatedly in city council meetings and committee meetings and, study after study after study after study after study, police go partner with a mental health facility and say, we're going to implement our own mental health response solution. And so it's pretty frustrating. Will it be better than what we have now? Maybe. The evidence isn't real great, to be honest, but hell, I guess we'll have to try it now because this is like the best we can get out of the players that we have currently. But anyway, the police are going to go with a mental health professional and respond to mental health calls. Yeah, social worker ride along. Exactly. That's a great point from commenter on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, and what studies show is that it doesn't actually pull the police to the social service side. It actually pulls the clinician to the police side because people aren't responsive. People aren't, doing following commands the way they think they should. And so anyway, or if their reaction to an armed police officer isn't what is deemed appropriate, then, we just go down that spiral that we go down instead of like talking people off the ledge or, de-escalating the situation in a real and significant way. So anyway, yeah, this is what we got. Shout out to Oklahoma Watch for reporting it and for really getting the actual both sides in here. And, even though it's still very police heavy, they do get some comments in here from folks expressing concern and kind of lead with that in the headline. But yeah, anyway, the federal grant, I mean, there's millions of dollars behind this. So it's like, it's great that we're finally like starting to get there, but it really would be important to get the actual alternative response going.
I mean, here's a simple fact is like a police department cannot oversee a mental health department. It doesn't work that way. If you can try, you can see how it functions and like see what an emergency kind of call hotline. But to be quite honest, I think it kind of needs to operate like the other way around, where a mental health force, if they determine that there for some reason there's a major threat that needs to be done, then they make the decision. I mean, it's like what I told you the other day, Nick. Like, there's that saying that like men will go to war before they go to therapy. So, but instead, if you flip it around, if you go to therapy first, you might not even go to war in the first place. It's also the same conversation. I think like there was a city council meeting that somebody had mentioned that the council had passed the ability to give the police 200 more like AR-15s. I'm just like, why? Like, what is the purpose? Like, what is the major threat of impending doom that is supposed to be coming to Oklahoma City or to Oklahoma County that you need 200 AR-15s for? Like, this is a further militarization of our police force. And honestly, like that's kind of the way that we need to be seeing how like the increase of police across the city. I mean, you and I, we're both from Northwest Oklahoma City, right? And we've started to see it too. It's huge. The increase in enforcement amongst Northwest Oklahoma City. I think over the past, I think past last year after 2020, they've just decided to step it up and put it everywhere. We got the opposite of what we wanted, which was, reallocating funds from the police into actual social services and agencies. And instead, they went about and just successfully lobbied to get even more.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
No specific number of weapons or parts were given. The cops were given money to spend on as much as they wanted. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But the presumption is, or the pitch was, is they were going to do weapons, which, again, like who are those going to be used on? When you start thinking about it, it's like, probably should question that. But yeah, I mean, so and I feel like this ties to, and I'm trying to like keep my stories straight here. The jail proposal, like the proposal pitched by FSB, which is an architecture firm that partnered with like a architect that builds lots of jails, is we need to build this bigger, badder county jail with some better medical and mental health stuff. Well, the question we should be asking ourselves before we go and build a $300 million jail is that we know 40, 30, 40, 50% of the people in there suffer from diagnosable mental health problems. Is a jail the best place to put them? And of course, the answer from any mental health professional ever, anywhere, is no. So if half the people in our county jail are suffering from mental illness and need mental health treatment, maybe we shouldn't build a giant new jail that is not the right place to house them, to take care of them, to help them. And maybe instead we create a facility that is designed to help people suffering from mental health issues. Anyway, it's just the same fight over and over and over, and it's really frustrating because we spend a insane amount of money on police. We are proposing to spend an insane amount of money on this county jail, and it's just like, we're just saying spend it differently, right? I mean, it's still public safety. It's just don't spend it on a solution we know hasn't worked, doesn't work, leads to terrible outcomes. I mean, that's that at its root, from a very kind of liberally sort of explanation of it. That's what we're saying. So anyway, here we go. Just keeping down that lane. But anyway, where I'm also at with that, though, is I think there is real hope because, like, at any point they can get off this ride, right? Like, at any point they can stop spending the money this way and start spending it on something else. So
Absolutely anything else.
yeah, absolutely. Like, so while it's frustrating and while it does sound kind of doom and gloom, it's like literally at any point they could just be like, all right, we'll build a $100 million mental health facility, and the voters, I think, in Oklahoma County especially, would be like, thank you. Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.